I have more news to report, essentially, about this whole situation. Um, it's been coming out in our media and such, and it's bits and pieces. First it was that Twitter of all places, essentially removed an account of a white nationalist group posing as an anti-Tifa online, and you can look at this, and Twitter has disabled an account. It was from Identity Europa. This account was with the handle anti-Tifa_US, was traced back to a false facade for the white nationalist group Identity Europa. It was specifically called out by U.S. law enforcement as an example of a left-wing radical group attempting to incite violence amid the unrest of nationwide protest. This account violated our platform manipulation and spam policy, specifically the creation of fake accounts. We took actions after the account sent a tweet inciting violence and broke Twitter rules, a Twitter spokesperson said. Donald Trump, by the way, is a lying piece of shit. He says that he's called the Antifa a terrorist organization and such. I am not saying that people that have identified with anti-fascist causes have never, ever committed acts of violence. I fully and freely admit that they have. I know for a fact, though, that they were not responsible for the stuff that took place, within the past couple of days. This isn't really speculation on my part. I can't tell you that there's nobody that identifies as an anti-fascist that smashed things, but there's no cohesive identity or group, that you can point to and say that is the anti-fascist. They're not like an organized group of terrorists the way that Al Qaeda is. It's a decentralized thing that exists on the web where anybody can pick up our banner and basically say, "I'm an anti-fascist." I mean, it's completely disorganized and such, as you would expect on the left and such. So maybe there'll be a person here and there, and maybe somebody will dress up in the kind of colors that an anti-fascist would wear and frame us, in spite of the fact that they're on the far right. I mean, these people in these black clothing may superficially appear to be black bloc protesters, but God only knows what kind of ideology they have, because the black bloc, as a group, is not exactly a group. It's not like black bloc protesters are not exclusively radical leftist. I mean, black bloc is a tactic. It's not a political group. Okay, it's people wearing all black to make themselves harder for law enforcement to identify. For the most part, you saw people out there, and they were wearing black, but they could very well be, exactly as I'm alleging, members of groups like Identity Europa, Proud Boys, and such on the right that were trying to spark a race war, as Vice reported it. They wanted to make this look as close as possible to it being done by the far left as they possibly could in order to frame them. I'm not paranoid. This is what actually happened. And it's coming out now in our media, as per the Associated Press, as one line of article. And by the way, this is one of the reasons why I feel I'm better than most people. I read beyond headlines. As with a false flight anti-Tifa tweet that Twitter tied to a third wave nationalist group, which was widely distributed as a screenshot. The Facebook executive said Tuesday that the goal of such content is often not to win thousands of followers, but to plant a single false flag that can be used to sow distrust about the targeted group. Facebook took down inauthentic accounts themselves. Facebook joined in, and this is now being reported in Reuters. So we have Anti-Tifa USA being taken down, as a fake account that was operated by a far-right group, and now we have far-right radicals that are trying to plant false flags. And this isn't conspiracy theory. It sounds like and uses the language of conspiracy theories, but it is now an established fact, to which you can have your own feelings about, you can interpret your own way about those facts, but you are not entitled to your own facts. And facts don't care about your feelings. So, yet again, a narrative that is rigid, consistent, and such is basically tying this all back to the right. Which is absolutely gleeful for me. in order to basically dance on your graves and such. Because if this is the case, and all this evidence starts emerging, it's going to be very easy to put a bunch of right-wing nut jobs in jail, and then they will no longer be voting and in the way of the left.